Good afternoon. My name is Russ Stark, and I'm the president of the St. Paul City Council. On behalf of my colleagues, I want to welcome you all to today's annual budget address. We're going to start out with some ceremonial duties, and please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Washington Technology Magnet School's Navy JROTC, and for the national anthem to be performed by DeCarlo Jackson of Walker West Academy. Please be seated. Thank you very much to Master Chief Gardner LaMarche and the Washington Technology Magnet School Navy JROTC, as well as DeCarlo Jackson for that wonderful rendition, and also Evan Slack, who was accompanying DeCarlo. Beautiful performance. We gather here today to hear the mayor's budget proposal and priorities for 2016. The past year has been a great one for the city of St. Paul. Record ridership along the Green Line, the opening of CHS Field, the reemergence of Payne Avenue as an eating destination, and the continued development and growth throughout the city. The city budget is one of the places where the mayor and council express our values, from public safety, quality infrastructure, needed recreation and library services, to all the other important functions that the city does. Last year, we heard loud and clear that St. Paulites wanted us to find a way to reinvest in our arterial streets, and together we responded. I look forward to hearing the mayor's proposal for 2016, and my colleagues and I will spend the next 3+ months going over department by department to understand the details and ultimately approve a 2016 budget this December. Next, we're going to begin a short video about our great city that's been recently produced, and then Mayor Coleman will come up and provide his remarks. Thank you very much.
love about St. Paul, we have free stuff to do. For grandkids, we have free parks, we have the great zoo. We love St. Paul.
I like St. Paul. I like the diversity. I mean, I feel like it's a good blend of different people.
I mean, it's actually starting to get more exciting, get more interesting down here with a lot of new restaurants and bars, and the State Stadium moving in here as well.
I love the fact that the farmers market here. I love the fact that they have the orchestra and the different, they got museums here.
It's actually a great place. It's a clean environment.
It's clean, it's friendly, it's easy to get to, and it's very accessible for families, so we like that best.
Yeah, we like the river. We go very often to walk nearby the river. That is good.
Parks, recreation, basically all the bike paths that we're able to go on.
I like about St. Paul how the people, they're nice and everything. They're willing to lend a helping hand to anybody, and that's what I love about St. Paul.
Well, I love St. Paul because it is beautiful, historic.
It's a great city, man. It's wonderful. The train is excellent. Gets you where you need to go on time whenever you need to get there.
But it seems very family friendly, which is awesome.
Cheapo Records. I really love Cheapo Records over on Snelling.
The walking. It's a small, big city. I love it.
The restaurants, oh my gosh, I get to go to a different restaurant every night, I feel like, and have something different. So I love that part of St. Paul.
I keep going on and on about St. Paul. It's wonderful, actually, man. It's a lovely city. I love living here, man.
Well, I love the Metro Lakes. There's a lot of them, especially like the Phelan area, Keller area. It's all in the same area. And so it's always a good time.
Yeah, it's like a perfect combination of like a little bit of nature and then like right in the city, and it's just gorgeous. I've lived here my whole life and I love it here.
There are a lot of people that love St. Paul, but they're going to go a long ways to challenge me for the love that I have for this incredible city. I want to thank Council President Stark. Russ, it's been a great pleasure to work with you and your team on the City Council under your leadership. I also want to have a special thanks to retiring council member Dave Thune for what will be, I think in his mind blissfully, the last budget address that he has to sit through as a city council member. Let's give Dave a great round of applause and thanks. Dave got a new Hawaiian shirt for the occasion, thank you. I also want to thank Councilmember Finney for his months of service now for the people of the East Side and his years of service to the city of St. Paul. Thank you for your service to this community. I have this incredible budget staff that has done an amazing job these last several months to put together what is a very complex budget and to bring us to this point today. And I want to thank Todd Hurley and his entire staff for the work that they've done with their hard work, their smarts, and their tenacity to get us a budget here today. Of course, I want to thank the dedicated staff, the people here at the Paul and Sheila Wellstone Center. Thank you for accommodating us here today, and thank you for all the work that you do. This facility is named for two of our greatest public servants in the state of Minnesota's history. Paul and Sheila truly understood the importance of working together as a community for the benefit of all. To the nearly 500 people who participated in our budget pop-up meetings this year, I want to thank you. At events like Rondo Days and the Dragon Festival, at locations on the east side and the west side, we talked about what we wanted in the city's budget and what we, as residents of the city of St. Paul, love about our city. We also compiled some of what people said into this word cloud. Schools, community, neighborhoods, people, parks, diversity are just some of the words that we heard. People love our city, and they're confident we can seize this moment that we have been given. This past decade of budgeting has been about getting our fiscal house in order so that our growth and our vitality are sound and sustainable. When I became mayor 10 years ago, we set out to achieve a structurally balanced budget in 4 years and achieve that goal in 3. Even throughout the Great Recession, we were able to maintain our AAA credit rating. And since 2012, we have stabilized the city's reserves to ensure long-term sustainability. As a result, we've been able to invest in ways that can ensure St. Paul can compete in a 21st century economy. And what an incredible moment we are at in our city's history. Our population has grown to our highest levels in over 40 years. Property values are growing in every ward. Our tax base is up nearly 5% this year over last, and more than 12% since 2013. Lower town and neighborhood commercial areas are booming. The Green Line is surpassing ridership estimates, encouraging a new vitality throughout the Central Corridor. Violent crime is down dramatically across the city compared to just 5 years ago. There's renewed vitality in every neighborhood, and graduation rates for our children are up across the board. Despite the good news, there are still challenges that we have to confront. For the 2016 budget, just as in most of the last 10 years, we start with a nearly $10 million deficit. And while much of this hole is caused by inflationary pressure, it continues to be made worse by the failure of the state to adequately fund local government aid, or LGA. Last fall, a veteran reporter at the state capitol, who was probably covered more budgets than just about anybody else in the state's history, only half-jokingly begged me to not hold another press conference on the need for increased local government aid. My response was that I would love to be able to stop talking about local government aid and property tax relief, but that until local government aid is restored to the 2003 levels, with inflationary growth built in, I will continue to stand with mayors across the state of Minnesota to fight on behalf of all of our communities. Here in the city of St. Paul, LGA currently makes up 26% of the general fund budget, with more than 71% of the general fund budget itself dedicated to public safety. Even after LGA increases in 2014 and 2015, when adjusting for inflation, St. Paul is still 44% or $47 million short of the amount we would have had before LGA became a political football in 2003. Mayors around the state understand the need for increased LGA. We've innovated and we've cut, and we've done so thoughtfully and unfortunately repeatedly. If the state were to use only $67.5 million of the nearly $2 billion surplus to restore local government aid to its 2003 levels that were certified, local property taxpayers would experience immediate relief. Here in St. Paul, we're managing through these challenges, through driving department efficiencies, realizing savings, and leveraging a growing economy by capturing revenue growth and strategically identifying opportunities for new revenue. We are able to close the $10 million gap. But our goal has to be maintaining the quality of services people expect in the capital city, and that is what this budget I present to you today does. For 2016, I am proposing a general fund budget of $258 million and an overall budget of $545.8 million, an increase of about 3.5% over 2015. Of the $18 million overall increase, more than 2/3 of the spending growth comes from one-time investments that will provide long-term financial benefits. The budget also includes modest growth in the property tax levy of 1.9%, which reflects the rate of inflation and is considerably lower than the robust 4.9% growth in our tax base this year. In addition to getting our fiscal house in order over this past decade, this budget continues to bring our physical house into order as well. As in many other communities across the state and across the country, 2014 presented some of the worst road conditions we have ever experienced. At the time, I said that maneuvering across the craters on the moon might have been easier than walking, biking, or driving across Hamlin or Cretin Avenues or other streets throughout our city. I couldn't find anyone who was willing to disagree with me on that fact. As if conditions weren't bad enough, we learned that in September of that year, the outer lanes of Kellogg Boulevard, the 3rd Street Bridge connecting Eastsiders to the downtown, were deemed structurally deficient. We took urgent action and reduced vehicle traffic on the bridge. We also immediately reached out to our partners at the state and the federal level to find resources to fix this bridge. The reconstruction of this bridge was our top-ranked bonding priority at the state capitol last year and it will be again in 2016. I want to thank our delegation for standing up for the city of St. Paul and for working on behalf of finding resources for this critical piece of infrastructure. But even as local cities and municipalities are squeezed, we must do everything that we can with our city's limited resources to preserve our existing infrastructure. That's why this past year, St. Paul committed a record $54 million towards investments in street repair and transportation upgrades, including $34 million of new investment. I promise that with this investment, taxpayers could expect that we would address what I called the terrible 20, the worst streets in our system based on road condition and traffic volume. I'm pleased to report that we're delivering on that promise. Today, 55% of the terrible 20 are repaired or slated for construction this fall, and the remaining streets will be completed by 2017. My budget also includes a right-of-way increase of 2.5%. This will ensure that we can keep pace with needed investments. In 2016, my budget reflects approximately $25 million in continued investments in street repair and year-round maintenance. As I've said before, St. Paul needs to be a city that works for everyone, whether they're age 8 or age 80, and whether they're traveling by foot, car, transit, or bicycle. We passed the historic St. Paul Bicycle Plan this year, which included a blueprint for more than doubling bike pathways and connections throughout St. Paul over the next several decades. But simply passing a plan does not mean our work is done. I'm urging all bike advocates and all people who want to see better balance across our transportation infrastructure to join me in the public process and debate in the coming years as we work to make each leg of this bicycle blueprint a reality. While investments in street repair are critical, we also need to ensure sound management. To that end, with the external pro bono support from Civic Consulting and additional support from the city's innovations team, Public Works Director Kathy Lantry will be leading a realignment of the department's resources in the coming year, and we will be focused on quality customer service, improved service delivery models, increased transparency, and improved street maintenance. I want to thank Kathy for her leadership on this project. As our population grows, as our vitality continues to surge in places like Lower Town and other neighborhood commercial areas, as light rail and new businesses fuel new excitement and economic activity across the city, we need to continue to invest strategically in public safety to protect our people, our investments, and our future. In 2016, our police department's sworn complement will remain at this year's historic authorized strength of 615 officers, up 576 from just 10 years ago. Maintaining our police force means we can continue to forge strong and trusting relationships with the communities we serve, a defining quality of the department under Chief Smith's leadership. I'm particularly proud of the way the police department has worked with staff, community members, and the children at the Arlington Hills Community Center. We've seen tremendous collaboration and trust grow since opening those doors just over a year ago. Our police officers are working day in and day out to ensure strong relationships with the community. Last year, our Safe Summer Nights program gave 10,000 residents opportunities to get to know their police officers over hot dogs and lemonade. Of the 4,000 children who participated in our police athletic league this year, 94% of them were children of color. And we continue to reach kids to the East and West African Junior Police Academy, the first academy of its kind in the nation. In addition, the city has partnered with the St. Paul Port Authority to develop a new state-of-the-art public safety training facility at 600 Lafayette. Thanks to a $3 million contribution from the St. Paul Police Foundation, the Port Authority was able to acquire this property just last month. The new facility will ensure our officers have access to state-of-the-art training in this modern facility. They will continue to be mentally, physically, and tactically prepared to serve and to protect. Well-trained officers make our community a safer place for everyone, and we expect to have this project completed by the end of 2017. We'll also invest $3 million over the next 3 years to modernize the police department's record management system. Our current system was created in-house in the late 90s and is out of step with current best practices. By making this investment, we'll be able to better track data required to address crime trends and efficiently conduct mandatory state reporting. We're also blessed to have an incredible fire department in the city of St. Paul. They continue to do heroic work that was recognized recently when Chief Butler was recognized as Minnesota's Fire Officer of the Year by his fellow chiefs. It's no wonder. Our firefighters are among the best in the country. They respond to over 40,000 calls for emergency service this year alone. And each one of those opportunities, each one of those moments is an opportunity to save a life or property or to ease pain, fear, or discomfort. In the 2016 budget, we'll ensure our fire department maintains its average daily staffing at 114. We'll also make key investments in upgrades to our fire stations. You may recall in 2014, we invested approximately $2 million into expanding Station 19 in Highland Park. The expansion is needed to allow for more crews as well as relocation of an existing fire truck, both of which are key to eliminating a recognized service gap. Unfortunately, the cost of that project proved to be much greater than we had hoped, but the need still exists. And I'm adding in the 2016 budget $1.3 million to complete that. Let's get that project done this year. We'll also commit $1 million in 2017 to start initial planning and design for renovation and possible relocation of Station 20, which currently abuts the Green Line on University Avenue. Chief Butler and I remain committed to diversifying the ranks of the fire department through both the Fire Medic Cadet Program and our EMS Academy. In 2015, the fire department began the 3-year apprenticeship program to train fire medic cadets for careers as St. Paul firefighters. My 2016 budget will enable the department to bring on 4 cadets for half of this year, and the program is expected to grow by 4 cadets per year until there are 12 cadets enrolled. The budget also includes continued funding for the EMS Academy program. In fact, Chief Butler and I are pleased to be joined here today by Dorwin Bishop. The St. Paul resident and 2012 graduate of Central High School has officially been hired as a firefighter paramedic with the department, representing the first of what we hope will be many EMS graduates hired into the ranks of our firefighters. Dorwin, thank you for your tenacity as you have put yourself through paramedic school. I asked him earlier, I said, have you had any action yet? He said, not yet, but we know where he's going to get some. Thank you so much, Dorwin. We're excited to continue this program in the city of St. Paul and continue to support you and your new colleagues on the department. One of the issues that Sheila Wellstone was most known for was her work to protect victims of domestic violence. She said that what called her to this work was the intolerable notion that a woman's home could be the most violent and most anxious place for her, and even the most deadly. In 2014, the St. Paul City Attorney's Office launched the Joint Victims Unit in collaboration with the Ramsey County Attorney's Office. This innovative unit focuses on the most lethal and dangerous domestic violence and elder abuse cases. My budget will add a full-time victim witness advocate to work closely with prosecutors in the criminal division. Their job will be to ensure our most vulnerable victims have the support they need to courageously testify against their perpetrators. In the many conversations with members of our community during our pop-up summer meetings, you may recall you got a popsicle if you actually talked to me. I didn't realize that was the price you had to pay. But people continually told me that education is their top priority. I'm so proud of the investments we've made in a 21st century model of learning and engagement evident in the Arlington Hills Community Center. Arlington Hills Library has seen off-the-charts engagement and participation since its opening. In its first year, library circulation was up 85%, and over 2,000 new library cards were registered. Combined with last year's investments in Sunray and Highland Park libraries, we're reimagining our libraries and parks and how they can work together to deliver educational services. My 2016 budget proposal will continue to build on those investments in out-of-school time learning. We will fully fund expanded hours in our libraries, maintaining the commitment that was made during the 2015 budget cycle. I'm also announcing today that Superintendent Silva, Library Director Kit Hadley, and I have set a goal of ensuring that every child in the city of St. Paul receives a public library card by the end of 2017. We've begun the planning and implementation of the Library Challenge Initiative. We will begin in 2016-2017 school year. Sprockets, our nationally recognized out-of-school time learning network, and Right Track, our highly successful workplace readiness initiative, will both continue to receive full funding in the 2016 budget. Bringing together the city, the school district, businesses, and community-based organizations, Right Track ensures work readiness and employment opportunities for youth. Last year, 1,725 youth applied for internships. 608 received jobs, and 99% of them were successfully completed their internships. The direct benefit to the City of St. Paul's economy was nearly $625,000 in earned wages. And of course, these internships gave young people exposure to private and public sector work experiences that are going to be needed to be successful in life. Today, we're joined by 4 Right Track graduates. These individuals have all graduated from high school and are either in college or set to begin college this fall. I'd like to share all of their stories today, but I will share just one. But I encourage all of you to have an opportunity to talk with these incredible young adults. They're powerful individuals, and their stories are full of promise. Tazuzu Amalash was born in Aksum, Ethiopia, and moved here at the age of 13. Tazazu didn't know any English when he started as a student in Humboldt High School during his first winter in Minnesota. His first job with Right Track was with the Conservation Corps in the spring of 2014. He then worked at Ecolab as a Right Track intern for 2 summers in a row. Tazazu will attend the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities this fall, where he'll study computer science. He insists that it was his experiences in Right Track that prepared him to go to college and to be successful in life. I'd like to thank Tazazu for being with us here today. Give him a round. And I'd like to thank Ecolab and all of our private sector and nonprofit partners who are hiring Right Track interns like Tazazu. Your investments are making a powerful difference in the lives of these young people and in the future of our community. And as we are entering our recruitment phase for next year, it's my job to remind you and to ask every employer in this room, if they haven't hired a Right Track intern before, please hire one next year. And if you have hired one, please expand your commitment to the City of St. Paul's future by hiring even more of our young people. 2 years ago, the city adopted the Great River Passage Plan, an award-winning effort to activate the public spaces along 17 miles of the Mississippi River. Consistent with this vision, we've seen growth on riverfront programming from partner organizations like Wilderness Inquiry and the Mississippi River Fund, new housing options like the West Side Flats, and continued success of events such as Hmong American Day and Irish Fair. As part of my budget in 2016, we will invest $150,000, which will match $150,000 from the state legacy funds, to advance the implementation of the Great River Passage Plan. Under the direction of Mike Hom, Parks Director, we'll structure these resources in a way that will work to leverage additional private investment in the work of the St. Paul Riverfront Corporation. This investment will be the next step in launching plans that guide all future development of the 17 miles of parklands along the Mississippi and encourage the development to be done as a single integrated riverfront park system. This year, of course, our park system was recognized by the Trust for Public Lands as the #1 park system in the entire country. It was tied with Minneapolis. When people on the street talk about parks, many have a favorite center, a playground, a hockey rink, or a pool. I grew up playing hockey at Linwood Park. I know how important these spaces are for our children and our families and for building community. In 2016, we'll be making major investment in rec centers across the city, including Wilder, Palace, and Sheffer. We'll also improve the ice rinks at Phelan and Northdale so that they are year-round recreation opportunities for our kids and families. And we will renovate or replace playgrounds at Jimmy Lee, Frogtown Farms, Sylvan, Marydale, Highland, and May Parks to ensure that they are safe, engaging play options for our children. Much of this effort has been led by Council Members Bostrom and Brenmoen, who truly understand the value of these parks, and I want to thank them for their continued support for our park system. And I'm particularly excited to announce that this budget includes $200,000 in planning money for the city's first universally accessible playground at Victoria Park in the Fort Road neighborhood. Visitors of all abilities will be able to play and enjoy this amazing place with views of the Mississippi River and the downtown skyline. This is a vision of Councilmember Thune, Councilmember Tobert, and Councilmember Thune's son, Dusty, who teaches special ed in the St. Paul Public School System. This is an important statement that all of our children matter. And I'd like to thank the Highland Park Friendship Club for their support and their advocacy on behalf of this park. Well, while many of our parks and library programs are free, we need to continually strive to ensure we're putting them within reach of our residents. This summer, with the support of Councilmember Dai Tao, we created and implemented our first voucher program for our pools. We distributed 5,000 daily swim vouchers to 30 youth-serving organizations in the community for use at Como, Highland, and Great River pools. Given the success of the voucher program, it will remain fully funded in our 2016 budget and will be paid for by just a modest increase in the fees at the other pools. Our parks are places for all to play, but oftentimes they're places for people to go for healing and reflection. Last month, members of our community, many of whom shared firsthand memories of growing up in the Rondo neighborhood, gathered to recall the tragic destruction of that once thriving neighborhood. On behalf of the city, I apologize to the community for the decision of federal, state, and local officials that led to the tearing out of the heart of the African American community to build a freeway. The ceremony took place on a lot on the corner of Concordia and Fisk, in the heart of the old Rondo community. Soon that lot, empty now, will be the site of the Rondo Commemorative Plaza and Garden. The vision for this plaza has been supported by community leaders like Marvin Anderson and Floyd Smaller, and many others in the community. And in 2016, we will get this project rolling with a commitment on the behalf of the city of $250,000 to let's get this project started. Whether it's building a 21st century community at the Ford site, opening CHS Field, building on the opportunities that come from the Green Line's robust ridership along the Central Corridor, I'm more bullish than ever about St. Paul's growth and continued vitality. We'll continue to build on that with an additional $750,000 in the Commercial Vitality Zone initiative, which began this year to work to expand and create jobs and increase vitality across the city in every neighborhood. And with any community like ours, we are struggling with success. Experiencing such incredible momentum in our downtown neighborhood commercial zone, it's time for us to revisit our parking strategy. While only one of the hundreds of people I talked to over the course of the summer spoke about a need for parking fixes at our pop-up meetings, we know that it's critical that we manage this as part of our overall strategy for growth. Downtown stakeholders have come together to do just that. The downtown parking study, completed earlier this year, underscored our need to adopt a market-based approach to parking. Beyond contributing to the vitality of our city, doing so will allow us to share the cost of delivering city services with those who come into the city to work, shop, or play. My budget will move us to a market-based approach and will incorporate the following key takeaways from the study. First, there is ample parking supply to meet the demands. Even at the busiest of times, there are more than 7,500 empty parking spaces throughout downtown. They just have to be used more efficiently. Our meter and ramp strategies need to complement one another. The goal will be to preserve on-street parking for shorter-term use by people who may be frequenting a small business, while encouraging longer-term parkers to move to ramps and lots. Third, we need to provide better information through tactics like improved signage and wayfinding and increased awareness about transit options for employees and visitors. With the support of the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce and others, we'll adjust downtown pricing to more closely reflect demand. Beginning January 1st, we'll extend the current metered parking enforcement from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Saturday. We'll also establish event rates for on-street parking, encouraging greater use of nearby parking ramps and lots. This new strategy will include replacing older meters, enabling better customer service and more convenient payment options, perhaps including possible cell phone payments. Additionally, beginning this fall, we'll work with district councils and local businesses associations to identify one or more commercial nodes across the city in which to pilot a new meter program in 2016. As in the downtown area, our goal with the neighborhood pilot will be to incent long-term parkers to move to ramps and lots to free up parking spaces for those patronizing small businesses and local shops and restaurants. I'm asking the advisory committee that worked on the downtown parking management strategy to monitor the effectiveness of these measures downtown, and will be similarly seeking input for the community and business, from the community and business groups impacted by a neighborhood pilot. The goal will be to make appropriate adjustments and expand neighborhood commercial area meters beyond the pilot in 2016. All told, these changes will result in an additional $1.6 million in revenue, which reduces the overall burden on property owners for the city services. As we gather here in this venue, named after Paul and Sheila Wellstone, I want to take a moment to reflect on the Wellstones. As many of you know, Paul taught at Carleton College and considered himself a teacher, even after years in the United States Senate. During a speech he made to Columbia University Teaching College just a couple of years before he died, he captured a sentiment I believe in deeply. As he spoke to this group of young people, bright young people who were attending one of the finest institutions of higher learning in the world, who had infinite career opportunities to choose from, but had very intentionally dedicated themselves to teaching, he said that he was convinced that the best thing he had ever said to any of his own students was this: "You will be more credible and you will be more powerful in a positive way if you do not separate the lives you lead from the words you speak." Similarly, we cannot separate the dollars we spend from the community we want to create. The budget today I present to you invests in those things that we value in our city, in the things that we want to improve upon. Whether in conversations around dinner tables, in bike shops or tap rooms, during pop-up meetings across the city, we have talked about our shared values of educating our young people, of ensuring equity in the city, of keeping people safe, and building a city that can compete in a 21st century economy. The budget I present to you is a reflection of those values, of our dreams and aspirations for this city, and reflects the continued hope for the greatness of the city of St. Paul. Thank you.